Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are waking up and feeling fantastic out there this morning and having a great start to your day and a great week out there so far. Thank you all for joining me this morning as we speak on the weather for your Wednesday. Today will not be super active. We'll talk on a little piece of upper energy that's swinging across areas of the upper Midwest. Eventually will drift southeastward into the Great Lakes region, with it bringing some shower activity throughout the day today. And behind it, there's an area of pretty high winds in areas of eastern Montana that will begin to take over the western Dakotas throughout the day today. Pretty strong winds associated with this. The eastern U.S. continues to be dominated by nice weather. We need to get it to where we can see this really nice weather on the weekends, especially for you folks in the Northeast that just continues to see a wet weekend after wet weekend, which looks to be the case again this weekend. But outside of that, not a whole lot going on, but stay tuned for you folks that really just like to tune in when things are really active. We're going to speak on a system with a cold front associated with it. I should say a cold front with a storm system associated with it for next week. This one could be the biggest one of the year. This could be significant. Models are already starting to hone in on this, and we're going to get very detailed on this probably tonight or tomorrow night, most likely tonight, but we're going to give you some details on that. I mean, you could have a powerful cold front that can bring a sudden shift. I mean, I'm talking about a sudden shift. Dare I say, like a blue northern kind of setup. Not trying to hype anything up, but we'll speak on that in the second half of the video. There could be a storm system that could bring heavy snow, a severe weather threat on the southern end of this. We need to speak on this because I think that this will become a heavy weather topic here in the coming days. We'll give you an update on the tropics too. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and I promise you guys I will get to the comments a little bit later this afternoon. I'm behind by a few videos, and I promise y'all I will get to all that a little bit later on today. If you guys got anything I can pray about, pray over, please put it in the comments below. Gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Let's get rolling. Let's talk about water vapor loop first. Cold front still draped way down here into the Gulf of Mexico and off the coast of the eastern U.S., and with it, we just have, pretty nice weather over this entire region right into here. A little bit of shower activity will be up here in the upper portions of the Northeast, but other than that, very nice fall-like weather. We got this upper low that's spinning away in this region of the country, and areas in white that you see, this indicates more moisture in the atmosphere. So there's just some shower activity, nothing in the form of storms. There's associated cold front behind this. Also, that will reinforce the cooler than average temperatures probably this weekend for the eastern U.S. And then behind it, we just got a screeching area of winds that was really affecting areas of Montana yesterday. But this will really shift into the western Dakotas later on today, maybe even extreme northeast areas of Wyoming also. So that's what's going on for today based off water vapor loop. Let's continue to move forward and see what's falling out the sky right now, and here it is. You see it very well. This upper energy, we call it upper low, upper trough, but just a piece of mid to upper energy moving through the area, the upper portion of the country. A lot of uppers there. So this is bringing some light to moderate rain for areas in North Dakota, areas in Minnesota, extreme eastern sections of South Dakota, some light shower activity in the UP of Michigan. Let me know what's actually hitting the ground up here. And then northern sections like around even Duluth, seeing some rain this morning. Outside of that, some light shower activity in the Northeast, and then most of the rain is north of Washington State into Canada, where the jet is really going all the way up into here. So we don't really have a pattern like last week here in the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest of Oregon and Washington, where we were just getting an onslaught of storm after storm into this region. This has shifted further north, so not seeing that as much. The Storm Prediction Center, guys, no thunderstorms forecast today. We haven't seen this in a while, but here we go. So even the rain, heavy rain activity today, we're not expecting any lightning, thunder out of it. So could be wrong, you never know. But as of now, no thunderstorms are forecast for today. And when you speak on rain, no threat of flash flooding either. So it's pretty quiet out there. It really is. Watches and warnings, you got those high wind warnings. And just wind advisories for South Dakota and four counties, it looks like, in southwestern North Dakota. So we'll see if any of this upgrades to high wind warnings or anything like that, but it's still very windy right now in eastern Montana. Everybody else quiet. We got some heat advisories beginning to bubble up here in California, some dense fog advisories. Outside of that, quiet as far as watches, warnings, and advisories. We're going to end up skimming through this pretty quick, so I apologize for people who want me to stay over it longer, but there's not much to speak on. The southeast, quiet. I'm going to say quiet probably 18 more times in this video. Quiet weather today. Maybe some showers could drift inland to the east coast of Florida, well north of Miami, Fort Lauderdale. You know, it's possible, but nothing significant by any means. Some showers from basically the tail end of this upper low will try to swing through the Boot Hill, southern areas of Illinois, maybe northeastern Arkansas, maybe eventually make it into western Tennessee and western Kentucky a little bit later tonight into tomorrow morning. Some light shower activity very possible. Could get some showers that might drift into the coastal regions of South Carolina by tomorrow morning, but you know, not a whole lot going on. The northeast, similar pattern as the last couple of days, but certainly a different directional flow. Could get some sporadic showers in the southern New England region, and then just the interior northeast region in general. Some slight sprinkles are possible anywhere from New York State on up the rest of the northeast, points northeast. So pretty quiet weather. There it is again. Out there, there's really not a whole lot to speak on, but as you can tell, there's a system that's beginning to knock on the doorstep, moving in with this upper low energy that will swing into the Great Lakes region. So enjoy the nice quiet weather today. It looks like it's going to get active for the start of the weekend. South Central U.S., quiet. Not a whole lot going on at all. Like I mentioned, some shower activity could swing through portions of Missouri, but really not a whole lot to speak on there. Some showers, some light sprinkles are possible around the Houston area later tonight, but there's not a whole lot going on in the South Central U.S. Now, the North Central U.S., the Upper Midwest, the Great Lakes region, guys, there's about a 50-50 shot that you'll get a sneeze from me every video, probably for over the next couple days, just like you've heard it over the last couple days. My allergies are getting to me. So I don't feel sick or anything, just some congestion and sneezes and runny noses going on. Not a big deal at all. So I'm good. Just, you might get a sneeze out of me. But here it is, that upper low moving through areas of Minnesota, and some showers will just kind of rotate around it. And it's moving slow. It's fully kind of trapped outside the main jet to the north. So this will very slowly just drift eastward, southeastward. And with it, just some showers tail whipping through the areas of Wisconsin. These will eventually take over portions of the UP and Michigan. Pretty rainy period over the next 24 hours for like Duluth. Could get some showers in Minneapolis. Some showers could wrap all the way down into Des Moines, Ames. Certainly some showers a little bit later overnight into the Chicago region. Showers will enter Green Bay later this afternoon to this evening, and then they will cross Lake Michigan and begin to take over a good portion of Michigan as we're waking up tomorrow morning. We could wake up tomorrow in central Illinois, northern Indiana to some shower activity. This system is not a big deal at all. Not a whole lot to speak on except just some light to moderate rain at times. Here comes the winds. I think the heaviest winds are starting to work its way out of Montana. They will work their way out of Montana throughout the morning hours, but they will really begin to take over very quickly areas of southwest North Dakota, and especially western areas and central areas of South Dakota. The Black Hills could get some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, even outside the higher elevations. 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts are possible. These will eventually make it all the way to Nebraska, where I think we'll get some wind alerts that are issued a little bit later today. This is getting into later this morning. I mean, it's very breezy into Nebraska too. So strong winds are possible throughout the day today here in the northern plains, especially the eastern sections of the northern plains and the high plains. We work our way into this evening. This will diminish, and some gusty winds can make its way throughout the late night hours into like the Omaha region. The Lincoln area could get some 30 to 35, 40 mile per hour wind gusts into that region. It's very possible. And just some breezy conditions behind this. Nothing too crazy, but definitely be aware of some gusty winds out there if you're a trucker making your way through areas of South Dakota and Nebraska today. Don't get caught with that nasty wind that can sometimes just catch these 18-wheelers the bad way sometimes. Western U.S., most of the rain's up in Canada. Not much of anything in the Washington state. Could get some shower activity to drift into the far northwestern corner of Washington. It's very possible. In fact, it's likely, but just the main stream of moisture is making its way just north of Washington state across the U.S.-Canadian border. And then everybody else just quiet, being dominated by high pressure. Not a whole lot to speak on for today. Temperatures, still a chilly day, but 50s and 60s for the most part in the Northeast. You're getting more into the 70s into the Southeast. Still a nice day now in the Florida. 60s and 70s for the Southeast, a little bit cooler in the mountains. South Central U.S., Mississippi Valley, mainly the 70s. Starting to get into Texas, the 80s return, a few 90s in Southwest Texas. And then the middle of the country, 60s. And then you get a little bit further north into the northern plains and then the upper Midwest. Just 40s and 50s, mainly 50s up here. Above average temperatures up into Montana, 60s and 70s. Nice day. I mean, enjoy it. Because, winter's coming up here. It is. And then above average temperatures for the Western U.S. just in general. Whatever your average temperature is for your town or community or city, it's going to be above the average temperature in this region today. Let's give you an update on the tropics. We still got 94L. Invest 94L. It's predicted to develop somewhere, has a 80% chance to develop somewhere in this region between now and the next 7 days. And yes, the Leeward Islands is in this cone. So we need to continue to pay attention to this. This is what it looks like right now. It looks like a pretty healthy tropical wave. I would argue it's really healthy this morning, but is it going to develop some kind of dominant center of circulation? Tammy's the next name. Will this ever become Tammy? It's tough, man. I mean, you look at the GFS. GFS says, hey, this is going to develop in the Tammy today or into tonight. And here it goes. Has a tropical storm Tammy right here, and you're thinking, oh no, this is strengthening and developing into a hurricane. And it has it by Friday morning. Here comes that sneeze coming up. Friday morning, a hurricane, Category 1 Hurricane Tammy at this point, more than likely. But it's making that turn, missing the Leeward Islands, the Lesser Antilles. Saturday morning is a pretty strong hurricane. Then it's close. It's close enough to probably bring some impacts, just nothing too crazy, like direct impacts. But makes that turn as a Category 2 hurricane, maybe making it a major status, Category 3, but then heads on out to sea. Okay, this is the worst scenario. Guys, the European is still saying no to the GFS. We're getting to Thursday morning. We're getting into like Thursday evening. It's just a big blob of tropical moisture that it creates a pretty rainy start to your weekend, stormy, gusty, kind of tropical downpour kind of start to your weekend for the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands, and just not a whole lot in the form of strong tropical systems or anything like that. It does try to redevelop a little bit as we get in early next week, or to develop, because it never does develop off the European. But the European just says weaker storm, bring some showers and storms and gusty winds into the Lesser Antilles, maybe all the way as far west as Puerto Rico, British Virgin Islands. I mean, but other than that, man, I think that's why the National Hurricane Center is just kind of, they're not everywhere, but it's been kind of the same deal, same area of interest and the same percent level for the last several days. It's because models can't agree, but I can tell you the wave, it looks pretty strong this morning. So let's talk about this. So 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. This takes us through the 25th through the 31st. Kind of far out, right? Because we're still at the 18th. The beginning of this period is a week out. So it shows a chance of above average temperatures for the eastern U.S. Okay, but below average temperatures beginning to take over kind of the northern Rockies area, the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and areas of the central portion of the country. Okay, there's a chance of below average temperatures. Chances are increasing in this darker blue. Okay, one thing that I'm seeing, guys, is so we're gonna start this off by early next week. Okay, October the 23rd, hanging on to below average temperatures for dear life here in the eastern U.S. Okay, I mean, it's still below average based off this run of the GFS as we're getting to midway next week. But it does look like we slowly get to above average temperatures for the middle of the country and then portions of the eastern U.S. But one thing I want you to watch here is this plume of well below average temperatures up here in Canada, oozing down to Montana. Karen, I know you're probably listening because you're awesome and you view every single video. I know you live up here in Montana. I would watch midway to late next week. You could have a doozy of a cold front that makes its way into your state. And this is one of those just abrupt changing of the weather cold fronts. So here it comes, well below average temperatures. Okay, this is what Barney colors down here, right? You got 25 to 30 degrees above average. Okay, and ahead of this front, which would be somewhere obviously right in here, above average temperatures would be in place. Okay, but this continues, and that right here, you see this tight gradient? This is a gradient between well below average temperatures and well above average temperatures. You see how you got this tight gradient here? That looks like your classic blue northern cold front to me, where like Denver goes from like 85 degrees to like 30 degrees in like a several hour period. That's what this looks like to me, just based off this run, the GFS. Okay? It's a very impressive looking cold air mass oozing down the Rockies into the plains. Okay? And this continues. Just a massive cold front. Makes it all the way down to like Dallas. And then what's going to happen is this is basically going to create an avenue between two air masses, and this is where your storm systems are going to take. Okay? This is where all the storm systems are going to go. So with this diving cold front, you have a diving jet, a jet stream. Along the jet stream, that's where the path of all these low pressures take. So on the northern side, you got plenty of cold air. So if you get any kind of storm system, it's going to be likely snow or some kind of winter precipitation. On the southern side, you're probably going to have a huge moisture return and a chance for severe weather. Okay, so this is going to be interesting, guys. If you were to keep the run going here, man, this cold front, whew, look at Texas. And guys, it's 258 hours out. What is that? 10 to 11 days out? Man, you're hanging on to above average temperatures for the southeastern U.S., and then eventually this takes over the eastern U.S. This is pretty far out, but man, this is something I'm going to be watching. I love setups like this. But guys, I can tell you the European shows a similar situation, not quite as aggressive as the GFS. GFS normally goes all in on the most aggressive scenario, but the European does show this cold front. This is starting next Wednesday afternoon, a week from today. Here it comes, digging down, okay, bringing well below average temperatures for the middle of the country. So associated with what the GFS just showed, are we going to have any storm system with it? The GFS says absolutely. Low pressure ejecting across the middle of the country. You could bet you're probably going to get strong to severe storms down here. Any kind of severe weather outbreak, who knows? But look at the cold air along with the moisture, the energy associated with this cold front. Okay, this initial low pressure moves on in, and another one forms. And here goes your first significant snowstorm of the year based off this run of the GFS for the northern plains. Okay, wild to see. And then this is Fantasyland stuff, but brings a winter storm pretty far south as we're getting into the end of the month. I'm not betting this happens, but we've seen crazier things happen. That's a 1050 high pressure dropping into the Rockies. Yeah, that's cold air, guys. So with this system, guys, please remember, don't tell everybody and their cousin. I said it's going to be a winter storm in Texas or Oklahoma or Kansas. It's just one run. We need to figure this out. But I really think this is going to be our next significant weather maker, which we haven't seen in the last few weeks. Moisture return associated. Here it goes. We're getting into next week. Look at these dew points getting well into the upper 50s, low 60s. They climb all the way into the 60s up the Mississippi Valley. I would bet you're probably going to have some kind of severe weather threat next week. Sometime mid to late week next week. You have a gradient between two completely different air masses. This plume of rich tropical air making it all the way up the Mississippi Valley. Yeah, I think next week's going to be wild. I really do. We'll talk more on this when we know more. We'll probably get a little bit more detailed tonight or tomorrow night in a video, but this could be our next big weather maker. That's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great day.